So it's been a while since I've updated anything about this because coding is a pain in the ass and it takes a long ass time. New update for GameMaker came out, which has made a lot of my code obsolete and also has removed a plethora of connected tissue. For instance, for some reason, this version of GameMaker is refusing to look at the sprites I've already made and actually use them, even though that if you were to lower this massive chunk of wall, you go inside of the objects layer and you click on this, and you can clearly see it referencing it. So when you hit run, what happens? Failed to run program incomplete. For details of why this build failed, please review the whole log above. I'm never updating GameMaker again. Screw it, right? So Escape the Island has to be redone. Like, I have to... Luckily, it's not a complete from scratch situation, because if I look inside of my create event and my step event, the code is still there. I just need to reassemble it, and the way I'm doing this is by putting it into AI and having it identify problems. This is my AI assistant, which I have named Danny after my favorite musician and online personality, derp. So I basically put in everything here and tried to have it tell me what's going on. And it's identified some issues going on with the code, and now I'm going to show you this next part. You can actually take all this right here, copy it, and then shove it into Danny here. Hang on a second. Paste. And then hit space plus enter a few times to do this, and then go identify the problem and give it to me in plain English. Because I'm a moron, okay? Plain English breakdown of the error. The core issue: some parts of your project were created with an older version of GameMaker and they haven't been upgraded to match the version you're using. Okay, so now I know what the fuck's going on and I know what the fuck to tackle it with. I am pissed, by the way. So because of the new update, exactly what I said is happening. The program is no longer picking up on where things are. And as far as I can understand it, what I understand right now, because I still haven't read this, is that there's a new method of filing going on. In layman's terms, like, here, let me try to use a visual indicator. So here is my GameMaker file. And here is an older version of GameMaker that I just so happen to have up, because I'm trying to figure this out desperately. Whoops. Sorry, I did an old man thing and put my finger in the way. So let's say I run GameMaker, and it's like, oh my god, I'm running, but like everything that you have here is no longer communicating with your files. So nothing has actually been lost. None of the hardest things I made has been lost. I just made a simple light bulb. Like, everything is, like, all the art is still here. It's just for some reason, the code that I have, written down multiple times is not communicating properly. So, what I need to do is I need to identify why, and that's why I'm going to read Danny. Danny is helping me. So whenever you hear me talk about Danny online now, just know that I'm talking about this. Danny's helping me. It is a complete and utter pain in the ass, but starting over with this new GameMaker shit will allow me to use better codes, hopefully. I hope! Okay, so right now, the player looks like this, and we are in our first hour of the day. The player collides with things, they don't get stuck on walls, which is honestly a really difficult thing to account for. Pixel collision in general, my god. The player looks like a block because it's simplistic. I worry about animations after I get the feel of it. Plus, also, I just kind of like the Atari aesthetic. You might notice that I can't zoom anymore, so let me just, like... There you go! So, right now, like, there is a bit of overlap, and the reason why that's happening is so that the player can perfectly fit within the bounds of the wall, and I will be adjusting this. Okay, so this code might be simple for others, but it's dumb to me. It's hard shit. It basically takes the information of your current monitor being used and makes the game display at that resolution. I'm not certain if this is going to be working properly or not for every computer because I don't have multiple ways to test that. Another thing that I'm hoping that it does is it prevents the pixel art from being blurred or messed up. I'm working on it. At the moment, things appear to be very blurry when you zoom in. I don't know how to fix this. I'll get back to you on that. Okay, so you no longer have to code this. It is now a setting that you can now just click. Thank you. So in short, you hit the cog up here and you undo the settings. Yeah, thank you for that. It's easier than coding, but fudge me, man. At least it looks better now. Alright, right now the camera is set in a very rigid way, and I can't help but be inspired by Nintendo, but in games like Mario 64, there seems to be a camera that is separate from the player, and how Nintendo characterized this is by having it be a Lakitu that was sitting on a cloud following you with a camera. In two-dimensional games, didn't need to have to worry about that all that much. So while I'm hashing out camera ideas, I kind of came up with an idea of the similar thing. This is the player character, and there's a camera object that goes to the center of the player unless there's something else taking the camera's attention. So the character, I'll just fucking show you. Okay, believe it or not, the idea is working. At this moment, if you notice, the character can go a little bit up and down off screen. I need to find a place where, like, here we go. So it goes and snaps into it, and then it goes right, and then I need to create some kind of bounding box for the camera so it never goes like past walls. Alright, I did something kind of goofy, but it works. Right now, if it's stuck in full screen, and that's kind of annoying. So I set it so that you press F11, and it does that. I don't know how to make it so it's not up there, though. Alright, same button, F11. Now what happens, instead of it remaining in full screen, it just does this. It pops up the bottom menu, so now you can like fiddle around with it. You can do nice normal stuff that isn't completely effing everything up. So if someone wants to play it and record themselves, they can easily just go. Okay, so at this moment, what is going on is that the camera is working. It's doing everything I want. In fact, I can actually show you what I want. Let me just run this thing. Right, camera follows the player. Everything looks nice and crispy. There's a delay between the camera following the player and all that good stuff. I can turn full screen on and off at will, and I added the escape button as a kill switch. Okay, so now here's the thing. I'm a lazy fucking person. I'm very fucking lazy. My work area is where I sleep area. Don't look at that. Shut up. So, I am not gonna be able to remember in the future when I'm making the levels and shit to put my INI level. It's called the game INIT, and I will not be able to remember that. So I'm stupid. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna program the player to create one, and only one. And if there's more than one, then it can't be more than one. The player sprite is going to check to see if there's an INI file, an INIT file, and if there is one, not create one, but if there isn't one, then create one. The INIT file is what's handling my ability to full screen and exit. It will also be handling some other behind-the-scenes crap. It is not handling the camera object. Right now, this is what I have set up right now. It's fucking stupid. Why was I cursed like this? Why? Stay up here, I what you like to me, and then television, oh my ass. I love these things so much. Error in action number 1 of step event 0 for object test player instance create letter identified layer instance does not exist. At GML object test player S step line 0, no, line 8, this is screen. So now I have to dissect what this means. As far as I can understand it so far, without pasting the error into Danny and having him tell me what's going on, it's pulling information from the instances layer, but it's not named as such. Because I just put instances. So if I fix this by making it instances layer 1... Ha! It worked! So I just need to make sure that it checks for all the instance layers. By the way, the intelligence file is, or the intelligence object is that. It says duck, and I fucking defy you to challenge me. Right? Now, what's going to happen is it's going to look to see what my current layer, the player, is on, and then create a init file from there. Hopefully this works. So it spawned a duck, and that's good, because there isn't a duck in this layer. But what happens if we put a duck in this layer? Oh my god, where's the duck? I placed the duck inside the room, but where's the duck? There's the duck! I did it! It's working perfectly! And now if I remove the duck from the room, let's see, I gotta show you exactly what I'm doing, otherwise it doesn't make sense. Alright, so here's the duck. The duck I placed in the room. Now if we look over here, and I go here and I delete the duck, the intelligence file, or the intelligence object is missing! Oh my god, what's gonna happen? It spawns a duck! Thank you, Lord, that works perfectly. Okay, so that's working pretty well, and there's also a nice delay between movement, really nice. The collision's happening really good. The bounding box is not accounting for the end of the map, which I have to figure that out. Every single time I think that I need to fix something, I say I don't know because I don't know how to do it until I do it. For some reason, the camera is spawning in as its own thing when its object is supposed to be following the player. I wonder what's going on with this. So I'm going to check that out. So first things first, idiot-proof me making my own damn shit. Alright, so since this code up here worked flawlessly for what I need to be done with the init file, the intelligence file, basically the AI, maybe I should rename that. Think about that later. I'm going to be doing the same thing for the OBJ camera, and hopefully this works. Because if it does, that'd be nice. It should detect whether or not one is already in the field. Here's the board, okay. Now let's go to the room, and let's remove the object for camera. Now, it's supposed to spawn right where the player is, so if this works, it's going to spawn either under the duck or above the duck. Whoa. What did I do? What kind of... Oh, wow. Okay, I removed that code, and without the camera object, it's not acting right. But the ini file still works. That's nice. Well, it's working. It spawns the intelligence object, you know, the duck, and it spawns the camera, but unfortunately it seems to be melting the graphics together. I don't know what they call that. It looks like a hippie chessboard. What do you think, Billy? This is a very interesting glitch. So this time I placed both of the objects in manually, and it's still doing this. The duck is fine, but the camera is all messed up. So the top part says, if instance exists, OBJ game intelligence, my layer gets detected, instance then gets created, the object intelligence layer. And then underneath that is, if instance number, game intelligence, is more powerful than 1, it destroys the one that comes after it. So I'm going to test this out now. I don't know how to operate the keyboard and mouse at the same time, so just trust me when I say I put it in. And there we go. And hit the testy button. Well, alright. Wait, where's the player? Oh my god, hunch as to what's going on. Right now, the check how many there are on screen code is inside the player. So when it says instance destroy, it's not specifying what instance it needs to destroy. I'm guessing that either I need to specifically target the intelligence object, or I need to put this code into the intelligence object. Oh my god, we're actually heading in the right direction. There is now only one duck on screen, but the player's missing, so what the hell. Alright, we got the player back, and there's one duck on the screen. We're heading in the right direction. Alright, I pasted in the same code, but I changed which object it targets. Now we hit run. Yay, now there's only 2 cameras on screen. Still don't know what's up with that glitch, though. The glitchy checkerboard appears to be a game maker problem where it doesn't know that I'm trying to draw a specific graphic. So I need to identify that in the code. Like, I need to tell it what to draw. I did it! The duck and the camera are now on the screen. Ooh-be-dee-doo. Sorry. It's a big deal to me, but I know that it's not a big deal to everybody else. I am now able to control things from an INI file that I created, I'm calling it an intelligence file, an object intelligence. Oh god, my brain. So first, we have the player, right? The player, upon it being on the screen, like the moment that it's like, bam, the game starts, the player's on the screen, right? It creates the instance for the object camera and the object's, god, tongue-tied, the object game intelligence file thing that I'm doing, whatever. The camera is then set to draw itself because I like the duck, and everything is set accordingly. This dictates the internal resolution of the game, like how close the camera is to the player character. I'm going to set this to 720p, which is, according to my file here, my super technical file, yes, numbers, it's 128 720p. Yep. Let's see here, 1 2 8 0, and then we go here and we do 720. We don't need to tell it progressive or interlaced, it does that on its own. Okay, so that's done, and this right here handles, hang on, let me just clean this up a bit. This checks to see if there is already one on the screen. It will then delete any repeating instances of this. So every single time a step happens, it checks to see if there's another one here already, and the exact same thing happens with the camera. The camera and the INIT share the code a lot. Like, there's a lot of code being shared, which might cause a problem later. I need to, like, go into it and make sure there's no unnecessary redundancies, because I just kind of took the code from one and onto the other. The reason why is because they work really well together, but the camera needs to stay separate. So what happens is the player plops into the screen, and then he creates the duck and the camera. So the INIT file, or object, is much easier just to refer to as the duck. So the duck gets created, and the duck handles, like, it's going to be handling things like UI, it's going to be handling things like how many keys the player has, the health of the player, things like that, pause screen, and things, just important things. Like, without the duck, the player couldn't function properly, so it's very important that we have that in there. So that's why I made it so that the player creates the duck. And because of me being lazy with game design in general, with anything I do actually, the player also creates the camera, so that the moment that the player is on screen, the camera is then created, but the camera operates on its own code, which then can be changed and manipulated by other things. I made an observation, or I took a note to try to teach you what I was talking about, where if I see a monster on the screen, the camera is going to get distracted, and it's going to move over there. And I also created this visualization for myself of the camera being held by a ghost. And I think that's kind of cute. His name's Fezzy, because I'm lazy. Alright, that's what's gone on so far. You need to take a moment, step away, look out at the sun, touch some grass, and then I'll come back after I write myself a note telling me what I need to do next, which is look at the init file. And I keep calling it a file. It's an object, but the thing is like, in my mind, it's a file because it's where it's all the information that's not necessary for, like, the player doesn't need to know about it. The player doesn't need to know any of the init file stuff. So it's not an object that needs physical representation in the game, but without it being placed, the game wouldn't run properly. In my mind, that's a file, so I keep calling it a file. Anyway, I'm gonna write that note now. Okay, so I actually coded this like super early on, but I've had so much problem with this that I didn't think it would actually work without effort, so I didn't mention it. But at the same time, it bugged me that I couldn't get it to work, so I did it. You can now control the character with a video game controller. Ooh. And you can still control it using the dirt pad. Oh, wait. Wait. Oh, that's because I unplugged it. Oh, God, I was about... I was about to shit myself with anger. Okay. Yay. It works. Like I did it. Provided that this shit works, I should have a stamina system in place. It's a little green bar that keeps track of your stamina. If you press the stamina button and you run, the stamina bar goes down. And if you run out of stamina, you will not be able to run again until it's 25% recovered. Now, because running upstairs is stupid and very dangerous, the moment that you come in contact with the staircase, you cannot run up it. You get slowed down to your walking speed. I'm going to see if I can implement a speed change to make it so that you're walking a little bit slower than walking speed. This is going to be a spooky game. And having things that limit the player's movement without it being completely apparent that it's limiting the player's movement is very important. So the player moving this fast is going to be changed, and he's going to be moving a little bit slower. And then when you get on the staircase, the speed change doesn't happen in this code right now, and that bugs me. I want it to be at least 15% slower when you're going up and down the staircase, maybe more depending on how I feel. You will never be able to run up the stairs. You'll immediately be tossed back down to being slow, but maybe I'll make it so that you can retain your normal speed going up the stairs. So you're not running up the stairs, you're jogging up the stairs or quickly, hurriedly walking up the stairs. But, like, yeah. And very soon, we're going to be implementing locks and doors. Ooh, it's only been... Ooh, God, has it been like 5 hours? Ooh. Okay, so I ran into a bit of a snag with a what the hell do I do next type of mentality situation going on. As of right now, the character can run, dash, and do all sorts of things, and I want to add the ability to open and close doors and things. In order to do so, the player needs to interact with the key needs to go into an inventory, and the inventory hasn't been programmed yet. Problem with that, there's no visual way to show the inventory, so if I was to hit the enter button, nothing would happen. It wouldn't show you having a key, it wouldn't show your character, it wouldn't do diddle dick. So, how am I supposed to visualize what my character has and doesn't have without the pause screen? So, I'm gonna go draw for a bit.